It's not a hidden fact that a lot of people have profited from the Nigerian oil sector through the back doors, whether they are the Nigerian side operative or those who operate the joint venture with Nigeria. Everybody had been benefiting. I remember some years ago when Femi Falana was on one of the national stations and was talking about data he got of how much of crude oil was taken out of Nigeria and the exact place that they were being offloaded in the United States of America, and was actually calling on the government at that time to follow the trade because the documents were out there. And those were not calculated as part of the oil that we were drilling from the ground. For me, it's a welcome development. They said the better time to have planted the trees 20 years ago, but the second most best time is today. The fact that it's planted today makes a lot of sense, that we are beginning to realize that accountability and responsibility are very, very important for national development.
This is Soup Business Landscape. The federal government is unveiling a crude oil metering facility. Yes. For those that might not be in the know, right from the days where Olobiri and the one before it started giving us oil and added to the national GDP and revenue, we've been estimating what we have been producing, not the best way possible. Now, the federal government has stepped up effort to strengthen accountability in the crude oil sector with the inauguration of Nigeria's first gravimetric multifaceted flow metering calibration facility in Eket, Akwa Ibom State. The facility was unveiled by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission as part of measures to improve oversight in the upstream segment. Now, officials say it marks a major milestone in monetized and modernized oil measurement standards designed to enhance the accuracy of crude oil measurement, produced crude oil measurement, and center aims to curb production losses and boost revenue transparency. Now, authorities believe that the initiative will reinforce confidence in Nigeria's oil reporting and revenue management system. Okay, now let me break it down for you. For a very long time, those within that particular sector that think Nigeria first, let's be very specific, those that Nigeria is the watchword, have always said IOCs and those that have gotten into this particular deals with them are not giving us accurate measurement when it comes to our production. Administrations after administrations have found a way of going through it, whether we know whether they are benefiting or not. Let's not go into that. But this particular point in time, we have, for the first time in West Africa, we have a flow station metering, a digitalized flow station metering. And to be specific, it was done by a Nigerian firm. So let's always get that. Now, let's also talk about the part of unchecked numbers that has always pushed out. On this particular show, one particular episode, long time ago, an oil expert came here and said, can we really say this is how much we're producing? Dear Doc, why did it take us this long?
Well, my professor in my early days in school used to tell us that when people benefit from a system, they will be the last people to want the system changed. It's not a hidden fact that a lot of people have profited from the Nigerian oil sector through the back doors, whether they are the Nigerian side operative or those who operate the joint venture with Nigeria. Everybody had been benefiting. I remember some years ago when Femi Falana was on one of the national stations and was talking about data he got of how much of crude oil was taken out of Nigeria and the exact place that they were being offloaded in the United States of America, and was actually calling on the government at that time to to follow the trade because the documents were out there. And those were not calculated as part of the oil that we were drilling from the ground. For me, it's a welcome development. They said the better time to have planted the trees 20 years ago, but the second most best time is today. The fact that it's planted today makes a lot of sense, that we are beginning to realize that accountability and responsibility are very, very important for national development. And if we must make progress, we must be accountable. People must take responsibility for some things they do. And those who are given the responsibility to manage the upstream or the downstream must ensure that we can account for every single thing we do. You see, it's not just the crude alone, even the national consumption. Up to a time, we can't even give a figure of how much of petrol we use as a country. And these are very, very deliberate things that happen to us. And look at it, the opacity is everywhere. Electricity distribution. Up to now, we are still talking about metering because we don't want to give account of what is produced and actually what is consumed. So this opacity is what makes people to regard us as people who are very corrupt. But the truth is that we are not as corrupt as people imagine, but are just few bad elements are there, don't want things to work the way they should. So metering will help us, and we can tell us, okay, are we actually producing 1.7 as we call it today, or we are producing
1.4
more than that? And if we are having more than that, then we'll be able to know where the differences have gone to. But unfortunately, again, we are starting in only one well, and I think this can affect all the well. Nigeria should work out to ensure that every single well that is sourcing crude has a meter, and we can know what is produced daily, and then Nigeria will be on the right path to its national greatness.
Nigeria will be on the right path with national greatness. I like when you said a few bad elements. Now, let's look at it on interest basis. The IOCs are there. Yes, they've gone into ventures with NNPC or with Nigeria, but first thing that comes on the table is their own interest. And as far as their interest is concerned, they won't want to spend extra dime on facilities that is not directly profiting them. So I don't think they will go for this. When we look at every single Nigerian element that has been part of all these ventures all this while for over 60 years, and they've relied either on personal reporting or manual reporting or a different kind of calibration, and this has caused a whole lot of conflict for a very long time. Do you think we should be looking at EFCC at some point in time? Or I think it's just that same issue of NNPC not being straightforward?
There's a video that I saw on X. I'm sure you might have seen it, or Doctor might have seen it. In Saudi Arabia, they have a control room or a control center, big screen, monitoring every flashpoint where drilling is going on, by the hour, by the minute, by the second. Every drop of oil is being monitored from that room. The video, the Saudi Arabian man takes the reporter across, shows her everywhere. Every drop is being monitored. Technology at its peak. It's quite interesting, and I know definitely we will get there someday. But like Doctor also said that those benefiting from certain kind of thing will not want change. Now, putting all measuring meters and all that is not necessarily going to stop theft and sabotage, but it will also ensure some form of, how will I put it, integrity in measurement. That is what we are going to try and achieve. Because if you look at it, Emir Sanusi Lamido Sami has always clamored that even the Minister of Finance does not even know how much is coming out daily. And these things, he has always been clamoring for this particular metering. Years, not now. Why it took us this long, but yes, better late than ever. Then you also asked, what about the IOCs? Is this something they would want to, because if you're not benefiting from something, you might not want to put it in place. But I think this is a good way to go, only if we can also replicate it in other places, not just this particular place. Yes, it's a good way to start. Let's see. I would also recommend an independent agency to do this. Because if it all comes back to we, man, no man, let me stop there. But it's a good move. It's a good move. It would, give us at least it would also help in royalties and tax collection. It will improve that. It will help us to know how much, if truly we are doing 1.7 or if we're even doing above 1.7, we don't really know. It's a projection, it's the figures, but this would also give us some form of accuracy that, okay, this is actually, but let's also not forget that these machines, it's being manned by human beings. So it also speaks to integrity also. But it's a good move, it's a welcome idea. But like I said, also, the FCC might have to get into this, because once this starts, how do we now enforce it? How do we now say, okay, this was supposed to be what was supposed to come out, and this went into this. What is going to happen now when we discover leakages?
I don't think it should be an FCC issue. It's also to look at the circumstances in which, of course, oil drilling has happened in Nigeria. It's been a long while. What a lot of people have actually complained is investment in that sector, which has been very weak for a very long period of time. So we're looking at infrastructures, if you like, call them legacy infrastructure. Some of them that has been put in place since the 1970s, and there are no new investments. And of course, technology of metering things that are real recent, and we may not have them as when, of course, these facilities were put in place. So to that extent, you find that we have a big problem, because for over 30 years, as we speaking right away, these even joint ventures, they were just taking the little they can, and nobody was putting more money in that sector. And I think it's because, again, like I said, the opacity that was in the system. So people were not willing to put more money in the upstream sector. And that's why we are not able to actually match up with what other people are doing. Smaller countries are doing better than us in terms of the ability to be able to drill and make a crude. It's good now that we're having that Nigerians are also participating in that sector and trying to also put money in there to see how we can drive this business. And I think this is where this newer technology will make a lot of sense. But the weakness of the regulatory oversight is actually where the challenge has been for ages. And we do hope that the guy who is in charge of the upstream regulatory agency will come to equity with very clean hand, so that it won't look like his immediate predecessor, who's been accused that he was living a lifestyle that seems to be much more than his money, even though he has refuted that.
Doctor, I think
he has a background that could have funded all of that. But I think, generally speaking, is we need more investment in that sector. We need a lot of people to improve the technology that is driving the crude business in Nigeria. And to that very large extent, then the regulators should be able to give a standard operating procedure for everybody who must participate. So if you have an oil well, of course, you're drilling, and government must be able to insist that there are basic conditions you must meet to own an oil well. And so that, let's not even look at what happened yesterday. Like I said, if we couldn't plan the tree 20 years ago, but we are planning it today, so the day we can make regulation stricter and better, like it's done everywhere else. If you want to do business anywhere in the world where things are organized, the system tells you the requirements that you need to meet to be able to do business. So, and I think our regulators should be able to put some of these procedures in place to say, look, for every oil well in Nigeria today, if you're having it, you have to renew it If you have to renew it, you need more investment in it, and it must be metered. And if you make that a national regulation of law, I tell you, we will be on the right path to progress.
Okay. So if I might come in.
Go ahead.
Doctor, I think when Chooks was talking about EFCC, he was talking about this new oil measurement, discoveries will be made,
Yes.
revelations will be
Definitely.
gotten. So what do we do with the discovery? And
There's no
revelation?
discovery that's going to make the machine you just install will start to measure what is produced
now. Okay, now let's take our minds a bit.
Now, but what I'm saying is that by law of evidence, you couldn't say that because you produce 20 million barrels today, therefore you have lost 90 million barrels in time past.
By law of evidence.
Evidence will not be able to substantiate that.
By law
and so
of
there
evidence.
will be no need chasing the wise goods.
Okay.
While we are looking at no means of chasing the wise goods, now let's take our minds back. There was this documentary. It's very popular out there on how a lot of Western countries source crude oil from Nigeria without government involvement. Backdoor sourcing of crude.
Trump said
A lot of that is out there in the open, and we know, like even oil players and industry players will always say, we don't know the amount of crude that's been produced and drilled in this country on the regular. Now we are seeing things that will change this. And just like Doc is asking for this particular policy where metering, digital flow metering, will be installed on every major output station. It might not even be done at the rig, but for every output station, before it gets to wherever it's going to be exported, there should be metering. The government can enforce that, because I think it's the part of the government to enforce some of these particular laws. So, Doc, we're looking at EFCC. When it comes to those that have been there before, you said the laws should be there, but the laws are there. It's the enforcement that is always an issue. People have sat in those offices. People have occupied those particular positions. People have interfaced with the IOCs. And it seems like, okay, it's the normal thing. They just did not do their jobs.
Well,
Can't you sue somebody for not doing their job?
Well, you see, it's very easy for us to sit
Doc, can we sue someone for not doing their job?
on this table, and then, of course, we can speculate on a lot of things. I remember in 2012 when Jonathan attempted to take away the subsidy from petroleum, and when, of course, the protest was on January 1st,
Occupy.
we say Nigeria and all of those things. And one of the arguments was the fact that this was an ATM for those who were in power. And that's why, so for a very long period of time in Nigeria, especially since the period of his democracy, the major minister for petroleum is always the president.
Should that be?
And there's a reason for that. For the 8 years of Buhari was the minister for petroleum. So why is the president the minister of petroleum?
So you can have direct access to the ATM
Access
card.
to the data and things that are happening.
Is it data on the ATM card?
So I didn't say ATM card.
Okay, the ATM machine itself.
So he needs to be able to see what's happening there. And the truth is that in my village, he said it is the rat that is inside the house that usually will tell the one outside that there are some food inside. So these are the issues that we need to deal with, because you are not saying as if somebody is empty of what's it called, NNPC. He will have power to do everything now. He gets authority from the powers that be. And like they say, fraud is like a network, it's a syndicate. One person don't commit a crime. If you have to sign money out of a purse, you will need like 20, 30 signatures to be able to get it out. So you can imagine the number of people who are involved in the web of getting this done. And this is why, you see, it's not just easy to say, okay, let's go and prosecute, because we won't have the data, because somebody has the information. And you need those information to be able to prosecute whatever thing that you are doing. But I think for me, what is important, it's not fighting the alligator in the swamp. It's draining the swamp so that the alligator can themselves find their way off the space.